This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is a show for the week of March 18th, 2024. This is a Saturday recording, Phil. I will be, again, away, but this time for some family fun on Sunday, Monday night. And I kind of like our recordings on Monday night because usually we get some interesting news on Mondays that allows us to. So now you're going to be listening to this. So if anything big happens on Monday for whatever reason, we already recorded this 2 days ago.
Yeah, so we're not purposely ignoring it. It's just...
Or we probably putting this out on Tuesday, not Monday. As usual. So in any case, we're recording this on Saturday. Before we get started, a little housekeeping. As usual, all of our social media at the DBC Pod, and of course Discord. And we're trying to get people to get back on Discord. We're trying to get some fresh blood. Or if you're a lurker on Discord, you should not be a lurker and say hello again, and get some fantastic conversation going. That being said, we've got some like news. Like I know you covered a lot of stuff plus your trip. I have some questions for you. But we're not going to go through the whole thing again. But I have some things I wanted to point out that I had some notes on. There was an SEC filing. There was some like shareholder boardroom kind of who's the new CEO type of talk. We try not to talk a lot about a lot of this stuff because it doesn't like impact your next vacation. But I think we all found it interesting as know, uber Disney fans. So we want to talk about it. So this came out, I think I was still away. So this came out, like a Tuesday, I think? Wednesday?
Yeah, on March 11th, at least that's when so that was Monday. This past Monday was when at least the tweets about it came out.
All right. So what do we got, Phil? This is interesting stuff, I think.
Yeah. So, as Jason said, there was an SEC filing on March 11th, and it's all related to the whole proxy battle that Disney is having with Nelson Peltz. And if you read the whole SEC filing, and it's written up as slides and stuff like that. It's not like just text and stuff like a lot of SEC filings can be. It's actually got a ton of interesting stuff in there. But the title of the filing is "The Right Board, the Right Strategy: Disney's Plan for Shareholder Value Creation." And then the first like kind of content slide says you cannot quote unquote restore the magic if you don't understand the magic. And it goes through all the reasons why Nelson Peltz and Train have no idea what they're doing when it comes to Disney and media and all that sort of stuff. So the whole thing is written to position that the current board or kind of Iger and his leadership team and stuff like that know what they're doing, know what's best for the company, and give all these examples of why. So I thought a lot of it is related to IP, intellectual property, and investment of that IP into the parks and the return on investment in IP.
The reason why they're talking about ROI, return on investment, quite a bit, because Nelson Peltz is going on like, why do this? Like, Disney's mentioned all this investment into the parks and experiences section and the vision of the company. And he wants to know, why would you invest in this? What is the expected return on investment? Thinking like you put in Toy Story somewhere, it's got to bring dollars or don't build Toy Story. Well, Disney has put out a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think also at least for me, it always hits me with everyone always talks about why does everything in the parks have to have an IP attached to it? Why can't they do something original? I think all the numbers in here kind of explain why that they only want to do things that have IP attached to them. So they talk about, the return on investments that they have, that operating income has increased by 9% over the last 3 years and 4 times in the last 10 years and stuff like that. And they're citing all the IP that they've invested in. And that's why they're overall getting more return on investments. One thing there's one chart that I thought was really interesting where it looked at 4 different franchises and kind of talks about the return on investment they've made in these. Now, this includes park stuff and movies, but just, so all of Star Wars, everything they've invested from the acquisition, but all they've put into the movies and into the parks and stuff like that, they've made 2.9 times what they've made in revenue back.
And I think the investment it starts at $4 billion.
$4 billion for the rights. Yeah.
Yep.
And then they didn't do all of Marvel, so I guess which I found kind of interesting. So I guess some maybe weren't as successful, but anything Avengers related, they said has been 3.3 times. And then these two are interesting. This is why we're getting these sequel movies. I think Toy Story has been 5.5 times. So if they invested $1 billion, they've made 5.5 billion. And then Frozen is 9.9, almost 10 times return on everything they've invested into Frozen. So if you want to know why we're getting Frozen 3 and 4 and Toy Story 5, I think that makes it pretty clear.
Yep.
And why we're getting Frozen lands and all the
Yes.
international parks and stuff like that.
And if you don't like this IP, it's you only have yourself to blame for not going to the movies and watching the new IP movies that were put out. So I mean, granted, they have to be good ones. I'm joking here, guys. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
The last thing is they did talk about the famous $60 billion that they say they're going to invest over the next 10 years, 17 billion at Walt Disney World. Previously, it had come out that they're going to spend about 70% of that 60 billion is going to be on capacity expanding investments. And then they also break it down that of that 60 billion, 50% of it is going to go into the parks and resorts. 20% is going to go to cruise line and other, and we know there's at least 2 more cruise ships coming. And then 30% is into tech and maintenance. So that kind of shows where the 70% for capacity expansion comes from. And then 30% is for just technology and other maintenance related to the parks. So I just found that kind of interesting how they're breaking it out. And it's always interesting when it's in SC filings where obviously not that they have to do it to the letter or something like that, but they're putting it out there saying like to investors and analysts, like this is what we're going to do. And if they all of a sudden say we're not, just don't do it, they could potentially have complaints and be sued and stuff like that. So it's more than just, saying something.
It's not PR nonsense.
It's not just PR something at a Disney fan convention. This is there's actual dollars at stake with the stuff they're putting
you cannot blue sky the SEC.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
You can't do that. That is bad. One of the lines on one of these slides, like look, this is a lot of like business discussion. What some of the things that you can tear out of this is they're still holding true to all the Disney World investment numbers that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the new stuff is expanding footprint. I know Iger had like expanding lands. It's actually, he's just talking about the square footage or square acreage or square mileage, whatever you want to call it. They have lots of space, right?
Yeah.
So they're going against the whole landlock thing. One of the lines I thought was interesting is, there's a bullet point here. Reaching new fans around the world. For every park guest today, we believe that there are 10 or more than 10 consumers with Disney affinity who don't visit the parks in a given year. Now, I think that says two things. One, that do you think that there's how many millions of guests come to Disney World every single year? I forget what the number is, but it's a lot. And so you give that a 10 times multiplier, and that's who's not coming to the parks every single year.
Yep.
And I'm curious if this includes people that have Disney affinity but have never been to the parks. Like they go to the movies, they buy merch, they have Disney Plus.
Oh, I'm sure it is for sure. I mean,
but the other side of this is how many Disney fans because it says in a given year, these might be people that went to Disney World 2 years ago but haven't been back since. And so how do you get people to come back to the parks? You add new stuff. Which is, I think, is a point that they're kind of pointing to investors. They need to expand to maintain the strong presence in the parks and also expand that.
Yep. So lots of interesting stuff. Like we said, I think this puts more meat into it. We always know that they said the 60 billion is going to be more towards the end of the decade. I talked about a little bit last time the head of Disney Imagineering was leaving Bruce Vaughn in charge. So I think they're really kind of gearing up and getting sort of the pieces in place to move forward. So everything I think is putting more and more pressure on the D23 fan event this summer that they need. Personally, I think they kind of need to hit it out of the park to really get the hardcore fans' trust back.
I think Josh has the ego enough to want to get that. Josh loves his public image about being a parks guy. He loves taking pictures. He likes being out in public. And I think he wants to I think he was kind of embarrassed with the last couple of D23s, at least the last one where it's more blue sky and everything else with a lot of disappointment. He wanted to showcase more, right? Like, I mean, you knew that. I think he was being held back mostly because of Chapek at the time. And another thing I wanted to talk about was, or you were talking about last week, I just wanted to mention about the change or the leaving of the head of Imagineering.
Yep.
You took a woman who I'm assuming is extremely talented, but does not have a background or a history of being with Disney and creative. She's like an architect.
Yeah, it was weird in her statement how she highlighted that she's like, I'm a licensed architect. It's like, okay,
great, that's fine. Go be an architect. What I really like is with Vaughn coming back. Was it like 18 months ago, somewhere around there, like a year?
It was only about a year. It was March 7th of last year.
Oh, it's only a year.
Yeah,
and I
so
think
it's almost exactly a year. Yep.
Experienced Imagineer, lives and breathes the parks, lives and breathes the culture of the company. Now fully in charge. I think Josh. Also, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Or actually, we can just bridge right to this. Josh is one of the 4 people that is in consideration of Disney being the next Disney CEO. And we're not going to hang up on this a lot, but we're getting more and more flavor out there about who might lead. And they're taking basically 4 internal candidates that are in charge of the 4 different sections, like the ESPN, studios, Disney Plus, and content, and of course Josh. I believe if there's going to be anybody, I think it's going to be Walden, who's in head of she's in head of the content. She's from ABC, I believe, or if I got that right.
I believe so. She's co-chairman of Disney Entertainment right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it checks a couple boxes for Disney female CEO for the first time. And then all this other, and then, you know, I think she's incredibly talented and she knows a big part of the business. And I think that's the perfect person. And she is a creative, right? She comes from that side of the business. She understands content and delivery of that content to the fans. She's not like I don't know why we're getting deep into this, but I'm just going to throw this. This is what I've been thinking like all week. She's the type, for me, she's the type of person that could run the business side of things, which the Disney company needs, like a strong Disney person, or excuse me, a business person. Josh is not, I don't think he's very talented because you don't get to that point without being talented in business and knowing operational costs and all that other type of stuff. But I'd like to see somebody stay in charge of the parks who respects the parks, which Chapek obviously did not respect the parks. He ran it like a business. And I think with Walton becoming the next CEO, allowing Josh to be Josh in the parks, maybe we could finally see quote unquote Josh unleashed, because he's very controversial figure, I guess, I don't know if he even deserves any which way or that on stuff. I don't know if he's ever had the allowance to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's always hard to know like how much input he has versus what Iger would let him do or Chapek would let him do
with funding and everything else,
and with funding and stuff like that. And you know, I think he's probably more responsible than some people want to give him to, but probably not. You know, it depends on your view on him.
So I mean, D23 is going to be super interesting, and I think they know they have to hit this out of the park. So I can't wait for that. But anything else from you on leadership? I want to kind of move on to more.
Yeah, no, I just agree with you, and it kind of almost gives me a little bit about like Michael Eisner coming in, you know, kind of coming from that entertainment from a movie studio or whatever, and having that perspective of knowing what content works and stuff, and then hopefully leaving it to the people in the, whether it's Imagineering or the parks or whatever, to make it happen. So I think as long as they also have a good finance person on the side, I think it could work out well.
100%, I agree with you. All right. Switch. There's no segue for this, so we're just jumping into it. You were at Disney World for a single night.
Yep.
Last week with your son. That was last week's show. I watched it. It was excellent. I want to commend you for actually having a 40-minute show. I think it was like 38 minutes and change.
Yeah, just about.
Fun duration. I want to congratulate you on that because I was expecting for like a 15-20 minute like recap to put something out there, but you had a solid program. So kudos to that. And there's a couple of things that I want to either ask you about or just comments, right? We're not going to go over the whole thing. How was the timing getting there? And like you had like a whole day, or half a day between there and getting into the parks.
Yep.
You know, you did a whole lot of stuff. How was it like kind of getting around? Did you have to rush, or were you able to take your time with everything?
So at the actual after hours event type thing?
No, prior to getting to the park.
Oh, so prior to getting the park, I think we had plenty of time. You know, I think if we had more time, maybe we would have also hit up like the Polynesian and stuff like that. But we kind of like, we're going to go here. We're going to take all our various modes of transportation. And he wanted to eat at Banana Cabana. Like I said, we were maybe a little bit behind schedule, I thought, getting there. So we maybe just would have done a little bit more after. But overall, we got there pretty much right when I was planning to. So overall, it worked out well.
Perfect. One of the things that stood out to me is my wife's a vegetarian, so I always pay attention to plant-based meats and
Yep.
stuff like that. You tried the soy sticky ribs. Were they actually as good as you sounded like when you were talking
Oh,
about
so
them?
they weren't made of soy. They had soy like glaze on them.
Oh, okay. Well, then they still look good, though. Okay, so never mind. I thought they were just kind of some vegetarians. So scratch that. That's kind of silly for me to ask. So here's another thing. You were on Mission Space, which you haven't
Yep.
been on for like 20 years?
Something
about?
like that since I was a kid. Yeah.
So did you get sick or was it
No,
not?
so we
Okay.
did Green, and
Right.
Green is more of a motion simulator. It's not really the centrifuge like Orange
Okay.
is. So I mean, yeah, you're kind of confined and it's moving around and stuff, but we didn't get sick at all. It was
Okay, good.
it really reminded me of Soarin', like the motion you get,
Oh,
but it was
okay.
done as a simulation versus like you were in a box that moved around versus like the hang gliding thing.
Sure.
But it really it reminded me of Soarin' a lot. So if you're good with Soarin', I think you could do the Green for sure.
I think we have to do this as a family next time because I've avoided missions. I've never been on it, so I've avoided it because I keep just hearing like terror stories.
Yeah,
I
so
am not good
that's
with
the
spinning.
Orange side, which is the one that's more like a real flight simulator that really spins you around and gets you the G forces and stuff. But you'd be fine on Green.
I thought Green was similar, but just not as bad, like with the spinning.
No,
So I was
they
completely
made it
wrong.
they made it really calm. I think
That's good.
originally it was more like that, where it was the same thing, just less intense. But now it's really just a simulator.
Hey, today I learned. Excellent. Now you were talking about there was a segment of the show where you were coming out of Mission Space and your son wanted to play on the playgrounds in there.
Yeah.
And the old like I don't know what's going on. We have to get out of here because I know you're just standing there because obviously you're not
exactly.
climbing through the tubes and you're like, all right, I'm just watching my son play. This is supposed to be our trip. But I'm proud of you for like checking that feeling.
Yeah.
And just like, all right, he's having fun. That's why we're here. This is his
Exactly.
choice. And so I just want to give you a hat tip saying that I'm proud of you for not letting you to get like all anxious and just roaring to go and stuff like that.
Yep.
So the major question I always have with one of these, because we've timed these out, right? Like what happens if you could do one, like if you could do all 4 parks in a single week, but all after hour events, right? So and you talked about this towards the end, in place of a day ticket, is this a good substitute? Were you able to feel like you had a full day at the parks at an after hours event?
I did. Obviously we did some stuff beforehand, but we got there at 7 and you could be there till 1, but we were there till midnight. So that's, 5 hours
5 or
of,
6 hours, yeah.
yeah, with very little crowds. Everything was a walk on. And we definitely could have gotten on more rides if my son was like more interested, like, let's do this again. Like I thought we would have done, like, we're at Remy, there's literally a walk on, let's do it a couple times. And he's just like, nah, we did it once, let's move on. And like, do you want to go over to Grand Fiesta and Frozen? They're walk-ons too. He's like, no, I'm good. I don't want to. Like, we definitely could have gotten everything if we were, more focused on that. I would say the one big thing, and it is a big thing, is that, and my son was commenting this before, he's like, well, we really didn't do World Showcase. It's like, yeah, we went to Remy, or even if you went to Frozen, yeah, you're just going there for the rides. The rest of the pavilions aren't really open. It's not like normal where all the cultural representatives are there and the entertainment is there and the shows and stuff like that. So that's the one big thing you would miss if you only did this and you didn't do a day. I mean, obviously you have those couple hours because you get in at 7, but that's only like 2 hours. It's not a lot. So that's the one big thing that I think you would miss out if you only did the after hours.
So in your trip in August, which you booked, we'll talk about a little bit. Maybe I segue too early. Yeah. Would you have to do a regular Epcot day and this after party, or? I mean, let's say you had it scheduled for the after party. Would you have to do another day of Epcot to get your World Showcase fill, or would that be enough? For you personally and your family?
Yeah, for me personally, I think it would be enough because you could get a little bit in there. Just knowing that obviously we were there last. Like if it had been a couple of years or something like that where I hadn't, then it wouldn't be enough. But with how regularly we've been going or have been going, I think I could get away with it for sure.
Awesome. Now, here's the other thing. So let's say we did plan a vacation and we did one for each park, right? We can't do this yet, but let's say we could. How do you think the late hours on 4 days would impact your vacation where now it's 7 to 1 a.m. every single day versus 8 a.m. to whenever?
Yeah. So in that aspect would probably work better for the way my family is trending and that it's just really hard to get everyone up and out in the morning.
Sure.
jumping ahead a little bit, my thought for our August trip is maybe we'll go somewhat early for our Animal Kingdom Day, but otherwise we're not going to rope drop anything. So I think this would actually work out well. The idea of being out late and then sleep in as late as you want and kind of have a little time in the afternoon for pool time or whatever, and then go to the parks in the evening.
So for everybody out there planning a trip over the next, I guess, 5 months maybe, or 4 months before all the party seasons start with Halloween. I mean, just listening to you and other people, I would say for people that are doing this for the first time, consider changing out a day ticket for one of these party tickets, especially if you are a ride family or person, because it seems like you had an awesome time. You're able to kind of do what you want.
Yeah.
And you can kind of relax during the day and sleep late the next day or something else like that. So,
I can really, I really appreciate it. The simplicity of it when you didn't have to worry about getting virtual queues and Genie Plus and stuff like that. Like there's literally, what do you want to go on? And you go on it. Like it was nice.
Yeah. So, talking about your new vacation, all of a sudden you booked one, and I was like, oh, he did it. Why did he pull the trigger? But there's a new ticket deal that came out. They also got me very thinking. They did this same exact deal last summer, but I forgot to look this up. But Phil, I believe it was very limited in its time. It was like only just summertime, and it was just like July and August. I think
it was just the 4-park one. I don't think they had the 3-park one.
Right. Yeah. So, why don't you have written down? Why don't you go over what?
Sure. So there's a new ticket deal out. It runs through, I believe, September 22nd, and it's obviously more structured. What you can do is you can either do what we were talking about they had last year, 4 parks, 4 days. So for $99 a day, so it comes down to $396 total per person, and you can go to you get to go to each of the parks one day. So that's it. It's not 4 days and you could do 3 at Magic Kingdom, whatever. It means 1 Magic Kingdom, 1 Epcot, 1 Hollywood Studios, and 1 Animal Kingdom. And then they also introduced, which I believe is new, is the 3-park 3-day, and these are only $89 a day, so $267 total. But it's only for Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. You don't get to go to Magic Kingdom, which obviously is, a lot of people are like, how can you go to Walt Disney World and not go to Magic Kingdom? But I think for families that maybe have
for $90
for, more recently and stuff like that, or maybe, if you're more Disney adults and more into the other parks, this is a really good way to do it. So I did price out, for compared to the dates on our August trip, if we had bought, say, a regular 4-day ticket, obviously that would give us more flexibility. You could go wherever you wanted, but it's $499. So by doing this special deal, we're saving like $100 a person, or about 21%. And the 3-park pricing would save you around 31%. So 31% off tickets. That's like pretty meaningful, especially when you have 4 or 5 people. For our trip, it'll be 3 of us. But yeah, so for our 4 tickets, we're saving $300. $300 goes a long way at Disney. So.
Yeah, I mean, couple of other comparisons, right? So I picked up a random day in July, and it was still like a $99 ticket. It wasn't even an elevated cost, because again, $99 is the lowest it'll be, and fluctuates as the higher cost, but it's still relatively close. For my family to go down there, would be about $3,500 for a 4-day ticket, 5 people, right? 3 adults, 2 children. With this, it's $2,100.
Yeah,
that's a $1,400 swing. Yeah. That's like, whoa. And it's basically 2018, 2019 pricing on these tickets. That is not counting for inflation. That was the actual face value of the ticket back then.
Yeah.
And just kind of do some math. If you're getting a 3-day ticket plus a Magic Kingdom single-day ticket, you save it's $40 more. So if you want Magic Kingdom, get the 4-ticket packet. And if you wanted to go for 7 days, it's still like a $710 ticket for a 7-day ticket. I probably should look at what a 7-day ticket is, because I wonder if that's the same. But regardless, this is one of the levers that they're going to pull, and this is running from April through September. It's basically, what is that? That's 5 months out of the year, 6 months out of the year. It's like it was a half a year where they're offering tickets, and most families go for 4-day tickets, right? 4 or 5-day tickets, and this is an amazing deal, and it got me thinking, when can I go during the summer? And of course we can't go during the summer because we're not going to go in May. We've got a vacation in July. my son does sports and my kids do sports all throughout the summer and meaning that we can't miss. So I'm just like, it would have to be in September, and I don't want to take him out of school right the first part of the year. So I can't take advantage of this unless somehow I convince my wife to allow me to go down with my mother, or you and me say, hey, you want to go down for like, but even if it was just you and me going out, like 4 days would be kind of long for a down and back trip with a couple of guys. My wife would be like, why are you going down with other people for like a 5-day vacation? It's been too much. In any case, I think this is what Disney needs to do. I'm very curious to see if this creates an uptick in guests coming. And I'm also curious to see if we get any additional packages and stuff like that. That like if they see the popularity of this, and then they start adding like some other kind of configurations and packages together. But this is basically what they have to do with the tickets to make people think twice.
I mean, we've been talking about that. It seems like forever. That it's great to have the hotel discounts, but you still have to buy tickets if you're going down to Disney. You know, for most times you're going to get tickets, and when you have 4 or 5 people, that adds up. So saving $100 or $200 a night on a hotel only goes so far. But like you said, for your family now, you're saving $1,400 on the tickets. That's meaningful.
I mean, $1,400 for, let's say, a 6-night stay. That's another what, $200 and change dollars. I mean, that's the difference between Caribbean Beach and like Animal Kingdom Lodge or something else like that. So I would put the savings back in my pocket, but others might say, let me upgrade to a deluxe. Let me find and do that, and allows them to kind of afford those type of resorts, which I think is great. Gets more people into the different aspects of Disney. Last bit that I want to throw out there, if you haven't been paying attention to X or Instagram or anything else, water dumming testing has been started in Tiana's. And if you don't know what a water dummy is, it's a big giant sack of water in the shape of a person that's on the thing. And they can kind of test where the weight is sitting and how everything else like that. And that is just one of like the last stages of vehicle testing, before it opens. So for those wondering when they should go and book because they want to go at Tiana's, can't tell you when to book because please don't rely on us to do that because we have no inside information. But May, my initial guest, is looking better and better. And I'm still a big believer that they're going to skip extensive previews for this attraction. I think cast members and DVC guests and DVC members and annual pass holders will get their own previews, but I think they're going to be like maybe all at the same time or anything else like that, because this is a high, there's a lot of people that go through this attraction. You have a weekend, you have 2 days, but it's not going to be like 2 weeks of cast member, 2 weeks of DVC, 2 weeks of annual pass. And it's been a month and a half now, and they close it down. They want to get this thing ready to go. So I'm still happy with my Memorial Day prediction for this.
Yeah.
Are you on my side, Phil? Or are you still thinking?
I'm coming closer to you. I definitely think people will be riding it by then. I do think there'll still be at least a month, 6 weeks, something like that of previews, which means they'd be starting like mid-April, which is only about a month from now, and which could happen. I would feel more confident with, kind of shortly after that, maybe mid-June, July 1st. I would peg it as July. I would be surprised if it's not open by July 1st.
Okay.
But I think Memorial Day full opening is still maybe a little aggressive, but I'm softening on it.
Okay, so a couple of the things that we can look for to see if we are close, right? So we got the vehicle testing. I believe some of the ride vehicles, I could be wrong, because I didn't have a chance to really study it. Some of the ride vehicles seem to be refurbished a bit more. Like there's some more. It's just not like a sanded down like front edge of the thing. So that's good news. So we have to wait until scaffolding is completely done, right? Yep. So I expect that to be.
It's starting to come down. They took it down off the very top part and stuff. So
I expect to be completely gone 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep.
This is a random guess, somewhere in that time frame over the course of the next month. And then all of the siding being completed and all the pathways. I think they're finally finishing some of the entryway, rock work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That should be done within the next month. So once all that is done, I think we're going to be like in the last legs of everything. Obviously, we have no idea what it looks like inside, but I think they're working really, really fast on that. I don't think what about the crane? Can you still see a crane backstage over there?
I don't think so.
There?
I haven't seen it in any photos of late, but
because I haven't either. Now that I'm thinking about it, the crane is gone. That means everything's in place inside. There's no more animatronics going to be lifted up because that's primarily how they're getting everything in there. Unless there's an easier way to get things into backstage there. That being said, I think that being said, if you have a trip already booked for June, beginning of July, I think it's more favorable for you seeing Tiana. And if you're looking to plan, I think you might have a better look in the next 6 weeks when to kind of. There's plenty of hotel rooms to go down there. You're not going to be missing much. Yep. But I think
I do feel very safe for my August trip that we will get to.
Oh, I absolutely 100%. You'll be on Tiana's before me, just like I was on Guardians before you.
There you
go. Now I'll be jealous of you. Okay, that's a bit about it. But some of the future and stuff. I wanted to bring up a game because I found this tweet like a week ago. It was put out by Disney Dan and at Disney Dan. And he says, I think I know one of the reveals, and it's insane. Not in a good way, but in the way that when you hear it, you finally be like, wow, that's insane. So Alicia Stella replied, he says, he was replying to Alicia Stella, said, we're finally getting stuff for D23 Expo, aren't we? So then there was a response of a bunch of people saying like crazy things. So I thought this was interesting, right? So I started thinking, what are some insane things that would be just make you go like, that's insane, and also muttering in your breath, so stupid also. I think that's kind of what he was getting at with this. But instead of getting negative, let's make some jokes and getting some ideas. I think we should take turns, go back and forth, film. So I'll go first, right? So everybody's super sensitive about what goes into Animal Kingdom, right? It has to be perfect. It has to fit. But there's a jungle going in there, we think, in the Dino Land area. Everybody's talking about Indiana Jones. Everybody's talking about Encanto. The America jungles, or is that what they're calling it?
Or Equatorial America or Tropical America.
Tropical America, yes.
Yeah.
So what else is in the jungle? I think we can get a maybe like a Star Wars Rebel base ride instead of
do Yavin 4, right?
Exactly. Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. So take down dinosaur and shove Star Wars into Animal Kingdom. That would be absolutely insane. I would love it because that's to me that's just hilarious. Everybody else would want to burn it down, but I think that would be actually insane. Tweet that one out if you like that, or X that out, whatever you call it. Well, okay, Phil, what's yours?
So I'll start with my safest one, and we talked about it before when they talked about having Zootopia in the Beyond Big Thunder, and I'm just picturing like literally on the shores of the River of America having like the skyline of Zootopia, like the modern city looking thing, like right on the banks of the river.
I think that's what people are terrified of.
I know that's what I am.
Yeah, I don't think that would look. I think that would look terrible, especially since you've got Frontierland and you've got the Haunted Mansion like up along the Hudson, and then just like Skyliner over there. I think they could put Zootopia over there as long as it's like it's a jungle or it's a forest or it's a desert. I mean, they've got all the biomes over there.
Yeah,
but a city would be kind of crazy. My next one is that in Magic Kingdom, they build the villains land back there, but instead of like a spooky castle, it's the Death Star. So you got the big giant Death Star shining right behind Cinderella's castle at night. And to me, I think as much as it would be awesome to see a large Death Star slightly bigger than Spaceship Earth in a park, I think that would be very cool. That would be terrifying and terrible if it was at the Magic Kingdom, because I don't think that belongs. So I think that'd be kind of nutty.
So the next one I had, and it could almost go anywhere. It's more of I'm picturing when the person would pitch this idea is having a Black Cauldron land. Just for people not aware of the history of that, but that animated movie was like just plagued with all sorts of disasters, and it was at kind of a low point of the company, and it's really kind of dark, and it's obviously not very popular and that sort of thing. I mean, it has kind of a little bit of a cult following, but I'm just picturing the guy or gal pitching that concept. Like, you remember that time when we had this like really poorly performing movie? Let's make a whole land at Walt Disney World for that one.
See, I don't know if that would get me like, that's insane. That would get me interested, right? I'd be like, huh. All right. See, I want to say that is insane. I would be extremely confused.
Yeah, maybe. Like, yeah, that's true.
Why are they doing this? That's kind of. But you know what? Like, if Imagineering, who's been making really awesome rides and lands and stuff like that, I got to give them props for all the international parks, what they've been doing. I'd be like, okay, I don't know why you're doing this, but I'm here to learn more, and I'll judge later, right? I don't know if that's insane, but that would be insane to kind of take some 50-year-old movie that's like didn't do anything.
Yeah.
My last one is similar to your Zootopia one, but Elemental was kind of a secret hit last year. It did better than expected. It had legs.
It
for
had
a movie.
legs. Yeah.
But building an elemental city beyond Big Thunder. So you might not get the classic skyscraper, but maybe you get kind of some like water stuff and whatever. I think that's just as bad as the Zootopia one, but I wanted to throw up another idea for putting a city where a city doesn't belong, in my opinion. And what is your last one?
And my last one, I guess I was focused on kind of that area because we know there's so much talk about it, but thinking of another movie that I actually enjoy. There's some good characters in it, but it also is not, known as a popular Disney IP. But if they turned Tom Sawyer Island into Atlantis, so you had like with the storyline of Atlantis that had sunk is actually now risen up out of the rivers of America, and there's now you can go visit all those popular characters from Atlantis right in the middle of the rivers of America.
I mean, that is literally insane to do, but like that might be insane in like an interesting way. I mean, like, yeah, that doesn't belong. That is insane. But I want to know more. I mean, it's still probably going to be terrible, but like it's not like terrible putting a skyscrapers on the other side. But that would be insane. I mean, it would clash with everything around.
Exactly.
Like a big like Golden City. It just looked terrible. But like, I am interested in what you would do with. I would love to see Tom Sawyer's Island into something. I don't say better because I have to respect the history of Tom Sawyer's Island, but like it's a piece of property that's never used.
Right, they could do more with it.
I would love to see them. That's the only reason why I wouldn't call this insane, because I'm like, oh, you're going to do something with that land that might make me want to go over there. Other than I've never been over there, and I only have a stocking picture of Phil being on some Tom Sawyer's Island. That's my only interaction with it. All right, so if you have some other insane ideas, please go onto Discord and share them. I'd love to see what you can think. I want basically what I'm thinking is for this, and then maybe this is like a side DBC engagement question. It's like, what kind of ideas would get people riled up? Not like easy riled up, but like super riled up, but in a respectful way, please.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go that way. All right, so on to the DBC engagement question from last week. I left a lot of time for this one because we asked you guys to do a little bit of work other than typing away into Discord. You actually had to provide a map and some drawings, and all of you guys did. I'm very proud of all our friends on Discord for we're taking it seriously and putting some extra thought into this question and kind of place things. So we now have some visuals on a podcast, which is always great, Phil, as we go through this. So do you want to do community first and then ours, or ours first and then
I was thinking about doing ours first because at least mine kind of builds off the DSNY thing, which was sort of the basis
sure.
of this.
Go ahead.
So yeah, so as a bit of background, and I'll tweet it out and link to it in the show notes and stuff. But DSNY did a video recently. We mentioned it in passing, but we're going to get into it now. That he was hearing about a Moana ride going into Magic Kingdom. So obviously previously there was the reports, Moana was supposed to have an area in Animal Kingdom, part of the initial blue sky for redoing Dino Land. And then obviously that got changed up. So now the rumor is that they're going to put in a Moana ride into Magic Kingdom, perhaps as part of the Beyond Big Thunder area. But what Jack from DSNY, he doesn't want to put it there. He would rather put it into Adventureland, where it would probably be more of a thematic fit. And he's pretty good about looking at kind of usability sites and where things could go. And there's actually a pretty sizable plot outside the berm, south of the show building for Pirates. There's quite a bit of land there, and it would be set up pretty much for anyone who's been to Disneyland, where they have the Indiana Jones ride, where you kind of have to go down this sort of, the queue is sort of a long path that takes you from kind of the heart of Adventureland out of the kind of the berm area and to where the actual ride and show building is.
So is, for those that are wondering where this is basically the last gentle bend before you get into the monorail station of the Magic Kingdom on your left.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're heading towards the Magic Kingdom monorail station, it's going to be on your left. Originally, there was supposed to be like a Skull Mountain here when Magic Kingdom was first being planned. Obviously, it wasn't used. The only thing I would think that they don't want to put something here, because I've always heard that they always wanted to, if they were going to build a hotel that's attached to Magic Kingdom, this is exactly where the plot of land where that would go. So, interesting one. I would like, that's a long walk back there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the whole length. It's like double the height or width or whatever of Jungle Cruise to get back there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they would want to do that for a single ride, but I think it might be worth walking to for like a little bit of like a land, because it kind of reminds me of like you're heading towards Africa and Animal Kingdom and you hang a left to get into Pandora. It's
Yeah.
like it imagines it feels like that's the distance of the walk until you get to like that photo op, like with like the floating rocks behind you,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's a good one. I think that's very popular.
And obviously, everyone's been thinking about some sort of boat ride connected to Moana. Perhaps it uses some elements of the Shanghai Pirates ride.
Love it.
But to mix it up, Jack said he would actually wanted to see a suspended roller coaster system, and he actually referenced a patent that Disney filed that looks like a suspended roller coaster with a long arm, and you could kind of use that as the mast of the sail, and that it would kind of swing a little bit, kind of like an exaggerated version effect of the mine train, and it would kind of swing you around as you're going around, and that's how it would simulate kind of being on water. So instead of having it being a boat ride, you would use the suspended system to sort of simulate coasting on the water and stuff like that. So that is kind of an interesting idea. Definitely hadn't heard that before.
I think that's a fantastic idea. I just don't think it'll ever happen, because I don't think only because they just got finished building another roller coaster in Magic Kingdom.
True,
And I think whatever they build next is going to be something for all ages, people that are not just like in for thrill rides. So that's the only reason why. And of course, Moana is a beloved character. She's extremely popular on Disney Plus. A lot of little kids are going to want to engage in this, and I think they're going to make it, in all, at least one of the attractions. If there was a Moana land, if there were 2 attractions for Moana, at least one of them would have to be, or at least the first one would have to be for like an all ages, all heights type of thing, I think personally, but I could be always wrong. All right, my idea, and because I've been pining for this every single time we do armchair Imagineering on this show, I just want to basically bulldoze Star Wars Launch Bay, everything behind it, and connect to the Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror area. I had this idea years ago, and I always bring it up. I want Tower of Terror theme can stay the same, or you can retheme it to another generic spooky whatever kind of thing, but keep that ride the same. Rock and Roller Coaster needs to be rethemed to something also scary and spooky. I don't know what it is. I don't care what the theme is, because that's not the idea of this thing. But make it not Aerosmith anymore, but make it, I don't know, some kind of ghosty kind of Hollywood ride or something else like that. Doesn't make a big difference. However, Moana Land is going to go back there. And if you draw a square, basically the bottom right corner of my square is where the Disney Junior play and dance area is. And it basically goes directly left, which basically cuts off the back end of Star Wars Launch Bay. And then there's some backlock roads back there, and it just kind of follows up those roads up north, and then the full length of the show building of Rock and Roller Coaster. I did some measurements on Google, and Google's great because of this. It's 7 acres. It's about half the size of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, just acreage-wise, square footage-wise. So you could fit at least one solid attraction, and then some like food and maybe a restaurant and a quick service, that type of thing. That's kind of my thinking. Probably could fit 2 if you're really clever and kind of blend both rides in a single show building type of thing. But basically, I think you could fit one solid ride in here with some meet and greets and stuff like that. So what would I do? So it would be, a kind of ride that's a ride simulator. So think Star Tours, but more advanced, I want to say. So it's almost like your idea of where like you're on a ship and everything else like that. So instead of being closed in a show box, you're in a boat with maybe like a dome ahead of you. I'm thinking more lines of like how you are in Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, a little bit more digital in that way. However, there's the ride is you start in a cave where the ships are hidden. Again, spooky themed, because I want this whole area to be spooky. And you start hearing, in Moana, when they go to the empty or the cave that's all bricked up, and it's like their old ships for voyaging. So you hear kind of like the spookiness and shadows and fire flaming up and being surprised like this, and you accept the call and go on your imaginary journey across the sea. Because if you remember in the movie, Moana hears the call of her ancestors, and it's that whole awesome song where her ancestors are going across the sea. So we're kind of following along that progression in the movie. And of course, we need a protagonist in there. So all of a sudden there's a big storm and we're fighting against a storm. maybe you can add like a monster from the depths or something that you're kind of floating around or whatever. And there's big fleets around you. It's kind of it could be kind of like a thrilling ride, but again, no height restrictions because you're buckled into a seat and it's just kind of like a simulator. Maybe it's like a simulator that also then goes on a track. Maybe there's like a combo deal. I know Disney's working on stuff like that. And then out you go. And it doesn't have to be a thrill ride where it's a roller coaster going fast, but it's a kind of an immersive thing. And I'm thinking a little bit more advanced version of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, almost. Like and I think that'd be great. I just I really want to see a spooky land that does Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, maybe a spooky Moana ride, and then you convert the building back there with Lightning McQueen and put something else in that building. I don't know what it is, but that's my idea. That's my idea.
I could see something like that. I believe there was another Disney patent filed that was using kind of dome projection technology that had Maui and stuff in it. Yep. So the idea, I think that definitely, whatever they do with Moana, I think that'll be an element of it.
Yeah, because that was, I got that from, because I think that was a patent that was attached to the original Blue Sky stuff.
Yeah.
When we heard that, and that's kind of what I was thinking. You could always, and I always thought you could stick a second ride in this area if you wanted to. If you didn't want to make it a Moana land, you wanted to just make a Moana show building, you could have a second ride in there where it's just like a Monsters Inc. Scare ride where you're the human and the monsters kind of pop out at you. Maybe that's the Rock and Roller Coaster ride you retheme, or maybe kind of a dark ride of some sort type of thing. So again, I want some spooky themes. That's what Disney would do. They would have they want to have more parties during Halloween time, so now they could have a spooky party at Hollywood Studios, and Mickey's and Minnie's not so scary Halloween party, and they can kind of combat Universal's kind of
Halloween Horror Nights.
Halloween Horror Nights. Yeah. So that's my idea. Hopefully everybody likes it. I want to see something back there. I don't really care what it is. Just make something fun back there. Make sure you can go in circles in that park rather than dead ends. Yeah. That's my main motivation for that. All right. So Phil, do you want to steer the community section of this?
The community. So Herdomaniac actually was kind of an interesting idea, and it kind of makes sense with Moana being kind of water based. They would actually put the Moana land in Typhoon Lagoon and have it sort of be an area with different thrill rides and kind of a miniature version of Volcano Bay, where you could have it next. They plotted the land out behind Crushing Gusher, big ride there. You could even push out some of the roads and have more land back there. So they didn't get into too much of the detail of the style of ride and stuff like that, but I thought it was interesting idea to have kind of like a water park theme to Moana.
That would definitely get people to buy tickets to your water park.
Yeah.
Or getting people to do split stays so they get the free water park admission when this finally opens, assuming that's still going on when this opens up. I like that one. That's a good idea.
Lumpy is going back to Animal Kingdom and have it take over the Dinoland area where it was originally supposed to be. But the idea there was it would be using some of the technology from the Shanghai Disney Pirates of the Caribbean ride. The unique idea they had that I thought was interesting was that the final splashdown and turnaround would actually be into the lake in Animal Kingdom, kind of the big where I guess Rivers of Light was and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea to use that space and actually when you're on the other side over by Everest or whatever, you could actually see the boats kind of splashing down into the water area and stuff like that.
They would have to filter out that whole water area then.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, because it's actual water.
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea. I like that. That's a good visual.
Wheezy had about 4 ideas, so I'll try to go through them kind of quick. But you're saying that in a perfect world, there would be an expansion for Animal Kingdom, and the main thing would be revamping Kali River Rapids to become Moana themed.
That's good.
And then kind of building out beyond there, and actually thought that the trail that's there, which is the Maharaja Jungle Trail, is actually where they should have done Journey of Water. So you could have had a whole sort of Moana area there and basically replace some of the food locations and almost turn that into like a Pacific area or Polynesian themed part of Animal Kingdom.
So I like, for example, I have to ask Weezy then, if he's going to expand or redo Kali River Rapids, I think you have to expand that track.
Yeah.
In order to do that.
Which it was the original plan for it was to be about twice as long and quite a bit more thrilling, more rapids and stuff than kind of got cut due to
I love Kali River Rapids.
Out of budget.
The first couple of times I went to Animal Kingdom, I never did because I didn't want to get wet. Now it's just screw it, let's go. And I actually really enjoy it. The ride itself, like the queue, is really great. I love the
Yep.
theming, the music, everything about it. You get on the ride, and the ride itself is awful. I love there's like basically anything but the track is just doesn't make a difference. The ride itself is fun.
Yeah.
But like the theming around it is like there's no explanation for it. I had to explain to my kids what it was all about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a downer. I mean, obviously deforestation is a downer, but like I kind of want to just have fun. Like,
Yeah.
why do we need that
Exactly.
those downer thoughts and stuff like that? I like this idea. The only thing is, I don't think you could take an animal trail away. Even though I agree with him that Trek is kind of lame, at least the tiger portion of it is. But I think the portion where it's the bird, was it the aviary
Yeah.
section of it? I think that's gorgeous. I love that part of that trail. So
Yeah.
I don't think you can fully take it away.
Yep. He then also talked about, well, because now you're kind of shoehorning this in between Africa and Asia. And then he would have expand Asia down a little bit more and stuff like that. But that's not really part of this project. But he did also mention what he said is more of his realistic answer is to put a dark boat ride similar to Frozen Ever After. That's in Epcot, but put that in Hollywood Studios. He had a similar spot to you, Jason. Maybe not as big of a thing, but basically taking over Star Wars Launch Bay in that area and putting in a dark boat ride. Alluding that, Hollywood Studios doesn't have a dark boat ride. It's I think the only park that doesn't have one.
Yep.
So I think that concept, I think, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but he's using the same show building. He needs that show building's not going to be for a ride. That would have to be.
No, it would have to. I think I'm interpreting more of like just that space or whatever.
Oh yes,
but yeah, they would have to totally redo. You couldn't.
I
Just
want
put
to
that
demo.
into
I
that
want to
show.
watch that whole section just go down. I want to drive the bulldozer, and I want to hop on the bulldozer. I want Len Testa to toss me the keys. I start them up, and then we just demo the whole area.
And then the last idea he had was to retheme the Nemo ride in Epcot to be Moana, and then it kind of links up with Journey of Water, and you kind of have a mini Moana area there. But I don't think that's a great idea. So
they're not going to do any construction in the aquarium. Too many vibrations.
Yep. And then TL Madden said basically make the whole Pacific Land where Dinoland is right now, and just do a whole animal-based land with an aquarium and a lot of Pacific animals, and put Moana themed where Dinoland was, and kind of basically make that whole area, including the Nemo show and stuff like that, to be like sort of a South Pacific type area, including adding some aquarium type things, which I know they have that at Epcot, but that is types of animals that are not currently at Animal Kingdom.
I know he's also keeping the dinosaur section of that area, so he's taking like some of the other parts of the Nemo theater and everything else. I would love to see a better dinosaur attraction. I do not like. I think there's some fans of Dinosaur the Ride.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but
the current version of it is not great. Other than I guess a couple of the animatronics are okay. It has potential though. You could do a really cool dinosaur ride in there. I mean, you see how cool the ride system works for Indiana Jones. It's just there's so much like black dead space in there, unused space, and it just kind of stops up parts. And so I don't know. You could do a much better job. Like you could just you could do dinosaur version 2.0 and it would be great. Like if you did that, but
I think you can't do. I think if you're going to make a dinosaur attraction, you got to get rid of everything about it, right? Put dinosaurs in there, sure. Reuse the animatronics, whatever you want to do, that's fine. But going back in time, the whole spiel leading into it, I just think the whole thing is entirely lame, in my opinion. And the ride, like you said, there's too many sections. There's just dead space. You're just in the dark, being shoved around a bit, and you're just like, oh, a thing pops out of you. Oh no, another thing pops out of you. Oh no. Oh, you're back in the future. Great. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day. It's just it's not good storytelling.
So that'll be it for the ideas here. For next week, I lifted an idea that A Music Life for Me posted in Discord, and it's kind of a reverse idea. Rather than thinking about what IP do you want to put into the parks, it's thinking about if there's a Disney attraction that hasn't been made into a movie yet, what would you want to see there? So take an existing attraction or attractions that don't have a movie attached to them already. So kind of Pirates of the Caribbean then became a movie series. What attraction would you take to turn into movies?
I think this one is hard because there's not many to pick from at this point.
Yeah.
But no, I think this is an interesting question. I have some answers there how I would do things. And I know some people are already talking about it. So cut and paste those answers and put them back in the section when this pops up next week. And okay, I think that wraps up the show. I think this is one of our shorter shows, but I mean,
Yeah,
still
we're
at,
pushing
like,
an hour at this point. So it's not-
54
yeah,
minutes.
easy.
So we took 5 minutes out. We could have spent some more time going over all 4 of the people that are up for CEO, but I don't even know if that's like really a thing.
And we're not
It's more
really
speculation.
experts on it either. So yeah,
It would be me reading the Wikipedia page for each people, thinking.
I mean,
like,
the interesting with that though is the ruse that they're going to be looking internally versus bringing. I think in the past when they were talking about who was going to be CEO, there was more chatter about someone from the outside coming in.
well, that was with
seems
Eisner,
Yeah. So
but
I think
Iger
now,
came from ABC.
Yep. So now it seems to be more of just promoting one of the heads.
But what is interesting to me is not who these people are, but the fact that we're getting leaks about this.
Mhm.
They're starting to prep everybody sort
Yeah.
of thinking about these people, and this doesn't come out of nowhere, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is purposeful.
This is out for a reason for sure.
So we're going to start seeing this, and then we're going to start seeing more rumors about maybe it's down to 2 people or something else like that. I just hope that we don't see all the backstabbing and infighting that you typically see during like a CEO battle, and that the talented people that are on here that don't get chosen for CEO actually stay and help the Disney company get stronger and get better.
Yep.
And because the Disney company has lost so much talent over the last 5 to 8 years that it would be a shame if Disney lost some more. So hopefully that goes well. All right. That being said, definitely book your trip for June 1st because Tiana's definitely going to be open. It's not, please don't, but that's the joke. Other than that, thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Make sure you join Discord. Make sure you get onto the Discord server and join the conversation, engage in the DBC question. Make sure you go in there and list some insane ideas for expansion anywhere at Disney World. Doesn't have to be just Magic Kingdom. And to make sure if you're still listening by this time at the end of the show and you haven't clicked stop yet, we want to expand Discord. So tell your friends, get one extra person on Discord that's in your family circle or whatever. We want to welcome them and continue growing the family there on Discord. But that being said, thank you very much for watching and listening, everybody.
Take care, everyone.